one thing we were most critical about with the C6 was the interior, and obviously Chevy was listening because this C7 is a totally different environment. One of the big changes here is that every Corvette has this driver mode selection knob, and this cycles through weather mode, eco mode, touring mode, sport mode, and a track mode as well. You're also going to notice this digital instrument cluster up here, and you can tie that instrument cluster into the driver mode selection knob. So I'm in eco now, but as I switch to sport, it will actually display a new setting here, which gives more prominence to the tachometer, also puts this speed readout right in front of you. And as you go to track, you get this slightly retro hockey stick shaped tachometer there, but what that does is it stretches out near red line, so you actually have finer gradation as you get out towards red line. The other thing you notice inside the Corvette is that it no longer feels like you're riding in, say, the Chevy you might rent at Enterprise. This particular model has the full leather interior. That's an almost $8,000 option, but you really notice the details. Look at that great stitching, leather covering everything, and this right here is real carbon fiber trim. The infotainment system in this Corvette is pretty much standard Chevy, but it's quite attractive these days. It's also got this nifty little storage compartment for your stash. You might notice something peculiar about this car. It's got both a manual stick and shift paddles. So what's going on here? These shift paddles actually control the rev matching program, so you can turn it on or off. And what that does is as you're downshifting, blips the engine, raises the revs, so that when you let the clutch out, it's perfectly synced. Now, if you put it in first and pull a paddle, you'll notice that the gear indicator switches color. Orange means rev matching is activated. White means it's off. Now the C7 has an option for performance traction management. That's the system that debuted on the C6 ZR1. And what it does is adds a 5-mode traction system. It starts off with wet here. You can advance to dry, Sport 1, Sport 2, and the top setting race. And in race mode, you do get a little bit of traction management without the safety net of stability management. It helps you put down the power using engine spark and ignition timing rather than actually relying on the brakes to control traction. It's one of those systems that GM says can actually make a professional race car driver faster, which is quite the claim. There's a head-up display again, and that has several modes as well. It has this very basic speedometer and gear indicator setting, this more advanced tachometer and lateral G meter at the bottom, a simplified version of that screen, and then one with a more traditional circular tachometer, and again that lateral G meter. As with the C6, all C7 Corvette coupes are actually convertibles, or Targas if you will. They have that removable hardtop. The car that we're in has the translucent polycarbonate roof. That's optional. There's an option for a carbon fiber top here with exposed carbon fiber weave. That's expensive. It's an upgrade because you're getting a Class A display quality surface. The standard roof is opaque. It's also made of carbon fiber, but because it's not that premium surface, the weave is actually painted over to match the body color. Now we were really critical of the seats in the C6. Chevy went to the same supplier that Porsche uses, that's Lear, and they had them work up not 1 but 2 seats. So we're in the standard touring seat. There's also an optional sport seat with stiffer, higher bolsters and pass-throughs for an actual harness. This touring seat is much better than what was in the old seat. There's still some room for improvement. We noticed how soft this bolster was, but what that does do is it accommodates larger people in the car. So there you have it. That's our walkthrough of the C7 Corvette interior. Finally, it's on par with the competition.